You're listening to Hockey Prospect Radio on Sirius XM, NHL Network Radio. Here's Shane Malloy and Russ Cohen.
We are back and powered by Upper Deck, your source of e-cards, found at upperdeckepack.com. We're now going to discuss hockey development with Chris Pierce from Outside Edge. And if for people who don't know, Outside Edge specializes in strength and conditioning, power skating, on and off ice skill development in Halifax, Nova Scotia. And Chris Pierce is one of their strength and conditioning coaches. He's also the strength and conditioning coach of the Halifax Mooseheads in the QMJHL and Dalhousie University. Chris, thanks for coming on the show. We appreciate it.
You bet. Thank you.
Well, Chris, talk a little bit about the evolution of Outside Edge. We've seen hockey development companies pop out across North America. And, you know, I find it interesting when you see a company that's really progressive in a lot of things they do, and the fact that you incorporate not only, you know, the physical, but the skill set, but the off ice in terms of the mental and emotional training for young hockey players, which I think is, you know, 85% of the battle is mental. You can train all you like physically and do all the skill set, but if you're not mentally and emotionally have the tools to overcome adversity and to move yourself forward, then you're really doing yourself a disservice. Talk about some of the things that you guys do at Outside Edge.
Yeah, for sure. I totally agree on the mental side of it. One of the things I noticed very early on coaching, when I became a hockey coach after playing junior, I realized how important the mental side of it was, and how difficult as a coach it was to kind of get to certain athletes or get to those hockey players that mentally were, you know, obviously more challenging to get through to. So I think that, you know, one of our successes, I would say, is focusing on that side of it and taking the time with athletes to, you know, try to give them maybe like an insight into themselves of how they can be mentally stronger and how they can kind of get more mentally engaged in whether they're doing a workout or, you know, a drill on ice or whatever the case. It's the not just going through the motions and actually putting in the mental effort. So that's been a huge part of our program, and it continues to be every day in the gym. That's something that we, you know, we're battling probably even more today than ever with all the video games and, you know, the amount of stimulation the kids face these days. I think it's probably become an even bigger challenge as a coach now than ever to kind of find a way to get through to the kids and actually get them mentally engaged in the process that you're trying to teach them. So it's, you know, it's one of the things I think that we've done a good job of, but it's something that definitely continues to be a challenge every day at the same time. So that's, you know, definitely something I think that we're going to continue to work on and continue to focus on is making sure the kids are mentally engaged and that they're, you know, they're learning how to work hard and put their best effort forward.
Chris, in regards to getting players up to speed for the Combine, do you have the exact test there? If you do you have the VO2 max? And if you do have that, do you need someone to yell at the prospects? Because I'd love to do that.
Yeah, that's definitely the most fun part for sure. I think for me, like talking with many athletes, like we do, we don't have the VO2 max test in our gym, but we do. We go through the Canada Games Center, and we have a contact there that helps us out with that. So we take our athletes into the Canada Games Center, and we'll kind of be with them and just kind of be there and make sure they're feeling comfortable with it. It is a tough test, and especially for the guys who haven't done it yet, it can be kind of, you know, mentally it's a big strain on them just going into it. So we're there with them, but at the same time, most of the athletes, when we actually talk with them afterwards, they say, like, I couldn't hear a word you were saying once I got to, you know, they're like 9-10 minutes in, and they're just going, I can't hear anything you're saying. It's all just background noise. So I don't know that it actually helps any. I mean, you know, maybe for certain guys, like depending on their intensity level or where they're at with the test, maybe it might help more. The coaching aspect might help them more. But I think in the later minutes of that test, I think it doesn't matter what anybody's saying. They're giving it everything, and they can't hear a word you're saying. So.
You're listening to Hockey Prospect Radio on SiriusXM NHL Network Radio. I'm Shane Malloy with Russ Cohn, brought to you by the Business of Hockey Institute, the world leader in hockey education at businessofhockeyinstitute.com. We're discussing Outside Edge with Chris Pierce, strength and conditioning coach. Chris, you brought up the point about, getting through to the players from the emotional, mental side. You look at the type of activities that they do, primarily online, on a screen, a lot of instant gratification through their social media or through other aspects. Do you find that that's a challenge for you as a coach and your coaching staff, from the mental, emotional side, but even getting them engaged on the physical side, because they're so used to instant gratification, and that when that doesn't happen immediately, there's a bit of a fallback I've seen from all, not just players, but people of that generation, which is of no fault of their own. That's just the way they're raised by not only their parents, but society in large part.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with that. I think that in itself has probably become, possibly the biggest challenge as a coach that we all face. So, essentially for me, I look at our warm up, like I'll take a warm up, whether we're getting ready for, going on the ice, or a warm up before a workout. And, I'll try to engage the players in something that they'll actually have to, I'll kind of see some signs of who's engaged mentally and who's not. And the guys that are not, able to get to that level of mental engagement, I'll try to work a little more closely with them. Like I'll know certain guys are more on it or more focused just by the responses they'll give me to certain questions or cues. And I'll know that other guys just aren't ready, and they, like you said, not necessarily always their fault. It's just the way that our society is with all the screen time and stimulation. It can be challenging. So, just kind of talking to them and maybe like giving them some cues to let them know that, it's time to get ready, get going, and try to get them in the right frame of mind that, they're kind of starting to focus on what's important right at the moment. So it's certainly a big challenge. And, I don't think that, I'm not saying I'm able to do that better than anyone else on any given day, but it's something that I work with a lot. So it's something that I've definitely, I've got experience with, and something that I try to, continue to perfect that craft of, getting through to these kids in this generation. It's something that I continue to work on every day, and hopefully, hopefully we're doing a good job. I think we're doing a good job based on the results that we continue to get. But, it's like I say, it's certainly a challenge, and it's something that you got to keep thinking outside the box a bit, and just kind of maybe throw something at them that they're not expecting some days that, it does get them thinking, or gets them mentally starting to go, oh, that was cool, I wasn't expecting that, or, whatever. And then all of a sudden you kind of get their attention. But that's sort of the battle these days, is really getting them to engage in what they're currently doing. And I mean, obviously as an athlete, that's the only way that you're going to, perform, is if you can actually be engaged in the moment and be able to, actually put your brain power to what you need to do. Otherwise, you're just going through the motions. So.
Yeah, and that's interesting that you say that, Chris. I'm really intrigued with what investigating and learning more from other people who have expertise in the field of brain development, especially from young athletes of that that 14 to 23 until the frontal lobe finishes developing, of how the stimulation that they have and how it affects their capabilities, and trying to give them tools to make themselves as competent as they possibly can be, because we grew up in an entirely different generation. That, like, technology has radically changed everything. So I just find that really fascinating, and want to thank you very much for coming on our show, giving us some really great insight of what you do at Outside Edge, and look forward to speaking to you in the future.
I appreciate the time.
That's Chris Pierce, strength and conditioning coach for Outside Edge, as well as the Halifax Mooseheads and Dalhousie University. Russ and I are going to take a quick break, but we'll be back right after these important messages.
We're looking for experienced managers and leaders to join us in advancing the business of hockey. Become a certified hockey professional or enroll in individual courses. Backed by executives from across the NHL, Major Junior Hockey, and Hockey Canada. The Business of Hockey Institute is the world leader in hockey education, research, and advocacy. If you work in hockey or related industries, we want to hear from you. Join us at thebusinessofhockeyinstitute.com.
Looking for a mint condition hockey collectible from Upper Deck? Check out Grandeur. These aren't trading cards, they are NHLPA licensed hockey coins. Each blind box pack features one of 3 silver coins or a limited edition gold coin. Grandeur hockey coins are the perfect gift for the young hockey fan in your life, or splurge on a pack for yourself. Check out the entire 20 coin collection at hockeycoins.com and order your Grandeur pack today at upperdeckstore.com.
Outside Edge has built a reputation for guiding hockey players toward their potential and provides on and off-ice development programs for hockey players. Outside Edge Hockey Development operates all programs on the philosophy of quality over quantity. Our strength, skills, and mental coaches understand the demands of the game and use this knowledge to develop strength, speed, and energy systems so our athletes can reach their potential. The Outside Edge programming features KPI-based strength and conditioning programs, skating, and skill development sessions for pro, junior, midget, bantam, and peewee. Contact us today at outsideedge.com.
The Philadelphia Flyers joined the National Hockey League in 1967, along with 5 other teams, to double the league from 6 to 12. They've enjoyed a lot of success since, including being the first expansion team to win the Stanley Cup, which they did in back-to-back seasons in 1974 and 1975. This book is a pictorial history of the Flyers that examines their modern history, including the Lindros era and eventual selection of Ivan Provorov. Authors Russ Cohen, Joe Del Tufo, and Mike Del Tufo tried to capture behind-the-scenes moments and the on-ice action.